Let me tell you about a story. This is about someone that was called Srinivasa Ramanujan. Maybe you've heard about him. Ramanujan was born in India in 1887, and he happened to be one of the most extraordinary mathematical minds in the 20th century. But think about his starting conditions. He wasn't born into Cambridge. He wasn't surrounded by the world's leading mathematicians. He had a very little formal training in advance for mathematics and developed much of his work largely in isolation. You could call that bad blind luck. And he had this unbelievable talent. But geographically and institutionally, he was very far from people most capable of recognizing it. Imagine that you know and you're really good at something, and nobody that surrounds you can actually assess or recognize it. So, what did he do? He moved, he worked, he showed people his mathematics, he contacted mathematicians. He kept putting his work in front of people who might understand what he had discovered. And eventually in 1913, one of those attempts reached G. 8 Hardy at Cambridge. Hardy was one of the leading mathematicians at this time, and he realized that the unknown man writing to him from India wasn't a crank. He was looking at the work of a genius. That looked like incredible luck. But notice what had happened before that luck could occur. Ramanujan had to send the work. That's motion luck. The opportunity couldn't find him, and nobody knew he even existed, right? Hardy helped bring Ramanujan to Cambridge, and in 1914 Ramanujan arrived to England and began working alongside with some of the best mathematical minds in the world. That's amazing luck, right? And then World War I began. Just months after he arrived, Cambridge was transformed by the war. That was the First World War. People left for military service, resources became scarce, and for Ramanujan, who was a strict vegetarian, finding appropriate food became increasingly difficult. His health deteriorated badly, and that's bad luck, right? But during those same years, he was working with Hardy. He produced extraordinary mathematics. His reputation grew. He was eventually elected Fellow of the Royal Society of the Fellow of Trinity College, and we can guess that that's good luck. Then his illness became increasingly serious. He returned to India in 1919, and in 1920 Ramanujan died. He was only 32, and we can assume that's bad luck. Good luck, bad luck, good luck, bad luck. Who knows where one begins and when the other ends? Because Ramanujan's story isn't simply a story about someone who was lucky, and it isn't a story about someone who was unlucky either. It's a story about how circumstances, talent, action, opportunity, and randomness interact between each other. And that's why I like thinking about luck in a slightly more structured way. There's a framework that breaks luck into four types. The first is blind luck. That's the luck that you can control. You cannot control. Where you were born, where your parents are, the time in history you were born into, certain circumstances that you simply inherit, right? Ramanujan didn't choose where he was born. He didn't choose to arrive in England months before a World War. That's blind luck. Then there's motion luck. And this is where the things get interesting. Motion luck happens when you create movement. You meet more people. You try more things. You send more emails. You launch projects. You go to events. You ask questions. You put the ideas into the world. You send your mathematics to someone at Cambridge. Basically, you create more opportunities for something unexpected to happen. Think of it you're increasing your surface area for luck. Then comes expert luck. That's when you spend enough time in a particular field that you start noticing things other people don't. An opportunity that looks ordinary to everyone else might look extraordinary to you because you've developed the knowledge and pattern recognitions to use it, right? And finally, there's reputation luck. That's when luck starts coming to you. People know what you're good at. They know what you stand for. They've seen your work. So opportunities, introductions, ideas, and interesting people begin finding you. And that's what I love about the framework, is that these types of luck are connected and you can create them. Think about like VCs, venture capital, when they have a really good track record, or on the other side, like entrepreneurs are really good because they already know that they've been doing a great job in previous ventures. That's why VCs just throw the money at them because they have already track record, and that's luck that they can harvest, right? So motion luck can create expert luck, and over time it can create reputation luck. The more you do, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you become. The better you become, the more people associated with you something valuable. And eventually opportunities start appearing that would never have appeared if you'd stayed still. That's why I'm so interested in motion luck, because it's the part that we can influence today. You can make the call, send the message, you can publish the idea, you can meet one more person, you can build one more thing, you can take one more shot. Will eventually work? Well, you don't know. Of course not, right? Not every item will work. And some of them might even look like terrible luck at first. But remember the farmer and the horse. There's this story that follows as this. A farmer loses his horse. His neighbors come to him and say, "What terrible luck." And the farmer basically says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" A few days later, the horse comes back. But it doesn't come back alone. It brings several white horses with it. The neighbors say, "Amazing, what incredible luck you have." Again, the farmer says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Then his son tries to ride one of the new horses, and he falls, breaking his leg. The neighbors say, "What terrible luck." And again, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Soon after, war breaks out, and the army comes through the village and takes all the young men who are fit enough to fight. But the farmer's son has a broken leg, so he isn't taken. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? The story comes from an ancient Chinese tradition often summarized by the expression Sai Weng, lost his horse. Fortune and misfortune can transform into one into another, and we're often too close to the event to the event to know which is which. And I love this idea because we have the tendency to label things immediately, right? This happened, good luck. That happened, bad luck. I got the job, good. I got rejected, bad. This company worked, good. This project failed, bad. But life is an experience in isolated events. It's a chain, right? Imagine like these trees that you have the odds in each branch. So some of those branches might get you into good spots, and some others don't. And you can never see, and that's the theory of chaos, right? You can never see what's too far away from those branches, the ones that you have in front of your face. So one thing creates another. And something that looks incredibly unlucky today might put you on the path that couldn't have existed otherwise. There's an extraordinary real life example of this, and that's the story that we talked about, Ramanujan. So again, good luck, bad luck, who knows? The story isn't finished yet. And that's also why one idea I repeat constantly is we either win or learn. If something works, that's great. If it doesn't, ideally you've learned something that makes the next atom better. And there's another reason to keep moving. When we're going through a bad streak, it's very easy to start believing, maybe I'm just unlucky. But bad outcomes don't have to become your identity. Imagine tossing a fair coin 7 times. Getting 7 heads in a row, or even 7 tails in a row, can happen, but it's unusual. That's like 1% um, probability of that happening. But it's unusual. And more importantly, after a bad result, the lesson isn't that the universe somehow owes you a good one. It doesn't. The lesson is that you shouldn't let a short streak convince you that every future attempt will have the same outcome. And maybe you shouldn't be too quick to decide whether the last outcome was even a good or bad. Some losses bring horses, and some horses break legs. And some broken legs keep you out of wars. So we don't control the entire chain, but we can choose whether we keep participating in it, keep creating new attempts, keep exposing yourself to possibilities, keep increasing the number of situations in which something good could happen. You can't control blind luck. You can't guarantee that the horse comes back. You can't guarantee that Hardy answers your letter. You can't guarantee that history cooperates with your plans, but you can influence your exposure to luck. And perhaps that's the real superpower. Not magically being lucky all the time, but becoming very good at creating the conditions where luck has a chance to find you. So move, experiment, meet people, build things, share your ideas, send the letter, take the shot. And when something doesn't go according to plan, maybe don't label it too quickly. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? Keep moving. And remember, we either win or we learn. So, have you ever been asked if you could have one superpower, that would it be? And when we were younger, maybe we would answer flying, super strength, reading minds, when maybe a little bit older, right? But I think my answer today would be much simpler. It would be getting lucky. Because the more experience you get in life, the more you realize something uncomfortable. You can be talented. You can work incredibly hard. You can have great discipline and persistence, and still you need some luck. Timing matters. Who you meet matters. Being in the right place at the right moment matters. Sometimes one completely unexpected event can change the trajectory of a company, of a career, of a life. So luck matters. But there's another strange thing about luck. Sometimes we don't even know whether you're lucky or unlucky, right? That's why if you want to control your luck, it's by emotion. And again, you either win or you learn. Thanks so much for listening. I guess I'll see you next one. Take care. Bye.